He must have wondered what the hell he'd let himself in for. But Emerson's like Jensen in many ways.
From a dazzling career in Formula One to the depths of bankruptcy, Emerson Fittipaldi's journey is a story of highs and lows. He soared to fame and glory, only to later battle financial issues. His life story powerfully illustrates how unpredictable fate can be. Let's get into it. Emerson Fittipaldi was born in São Paulo, Brazil. He is the younger son of Wilson Fittipaldi Sr., a well-known Italian-Brazilian motorsports journalist and radio commentator. By age 14, Emerson was racing motorcycles, and by 16, he was racing hydroplanes. In 1969, he headed to Europe, aiming to prove his talent to team owners within 3 months. After securing some podium finishes and his first wins in Formula Ford, he caught the attention of the Jim Russell Driving School Formula 3 team. Emerson trained with them and then joined the team, winning 9 F3 races in the Jim Russell Lotus 59 to become the 1969 champion. In 1970, Fittipaldi moved up to Formula 2, joining the Lotus Semiworks team, Bardal, with their Lotus 59B. He finished in the points 6 times and stood on the podium 4 times, ending the 8-race season in 3rd place, behind Clay Regazzoni and Derek Bell. This was an impressive result for a newcomer, but the real attention was on Fittipaldi that year due to his activities in Formula One. It was the departure of other drivers that destined Fittipaldi for Formula One. In 1968, Team Lotus was at the top of its game, thanks to the success of the Cosworth DFV engine and Lotus 49/49B cars. With plenty of sponsorship money coming in, Colin Chapman used the 3rd seat on the team to test younger drivers during championship races, a change from the team's usual practice of using non-championship events for this. In early 1970, Alex Soler-Roig held the 3rd seat, but by the British GP in July, Fittipaldi took over, joining regular drivers Jochen Rindt and John Miles. Fittipaldi quickly made his mark, finishing 4th in the German GP, where Rindt won and Miles retired. The season took a tragic turn when Jochen Rindt was killed at Monza in September, becoming the only driver to win the championship posthumously. John Miles also left the team, and Fittipaldi was promoted to Lotus's #1 driver by his 5th F1 race at the United States GP, with Ryan Wiesel and Pete Lovely as teammates. Fittipaldi rose to the challenge, winning his first race for Lotus after Rindt's death. In his first full year as Lotus's lead driver in 1971, Fittipaldi finished 6th in the Drivers' Championship, while the team continued to develop the Lotus 72. With the impressive Lotus 72D in 1972, Fittipaldi dominated, winning 5 of 11 races and clinching the F1 Drivers' Championship. At 25, he became the youngest champion in F1 history. In 1973, it looked like he might do it again. He won 3 out of the first 4 races with the 72D, but struggled with the new 72E introduced mid-year. This shift saw Stewart beating Fittipaldi for the Drivers' Championship, reversing the previous year's outcome. He reached the peak of his career by joining McLaren, but then took a shocking turn that left everyone stunned. Fittipaldi left Lotus to join the promising McLaren team. Driving the efficient McLaren M23, he won 3 races in 1974, finished on the podium 4 more times, and narrowly beat Clay Regazzoni to claim his 2nd championship. The next season, he added 2 more wins and 4 podiums, but finished 2nd to the dominant Niki Lauda. At the height of his F1 success, Fittipaldi surprised everyone by leaving McLaren to race for his older brother Wilson's Copersucar-sponsored Fittipaldi Automotive team. He stayed with the team for 5 seasons, but only managed a best finish of 2nd. Fittipaldi decided to retire from racing at the end of 1980, later admitting that his last 2 years in Formula One were very unhappy. "I was too involved in the problems of trying to make the team work, and I neglected my marriage and my personal life." At the time, he cited the deaths of many of his colleagues as his reason. At just 33 years old, he had been racing in Formula One for a decade. That year, he failed to finish 7 of the last 10 races and was often outpaced by his Finnish teammate, Keke Rosberg, a future champion. After retiring, he moved into managing the team with his brother. The team struggled on for another 2 years with minimal sponsorship before going into receivership at the end of 1982. His debut in the American Kart Series ended tragically, with injuries being his sole reward. After leaving Formula One in 1980, Fittipaldi took a break from top-tier racing for 4 years. In 1984, at the age of 37, he started racing in the American Kart Series. His first season was about getting used to Indy cars. He drove for 2 teams before stepping in for the injured Chip Ganassi at Patrick Racing. Fittipaldi clinched his first win at the 1985 Michigan 500. He stuck with Patrick Racing for 5 years, notching up 6 wins and strong finishes in the standings. In 1989, Fittipaldi had a stellar season with 5 wins and finished in the top 5 in every race he completed, ultimately clinching the kart championship. One of his memorable victories included a dominant performance at the 1989 Indianapolis 500. There, he led 158 out of 200 laps and won with a 2-lap lead, but not without a thrilling showdown with Al Unser Jr. in the race's closing laps. Unser managed to pass Fittipaldi for the lead on lap 196 after a late race restart. However, Fittipaldi used lapped cars to his advantage, pulling alongside Unser on the backstretch. The 2 drivers raced side by side through turn 3, making contact as they fought for position. Unser spun out and hit the wall, while Fittipaldi kept control and went on to win. Despite the incident, Unser showed respect by applauding Fittipaldi from the sidelines as he completed his final lap. As he approached 50, Fittipaldi was still racing in kart in 1996 when an injury at Michigan International Speedway brought his career to an abrupt end. After that injury, he didn't come back to race in the series again. Fittipaldi wrapped up his kart career with 22 wins. His fortunes took a turn for the worse. In September 1997, Fittipaldi was still recovering from injuries he had sustained in a crash at Michigan International Speedway the year before. During this time, while flying his private plane over his orange tree farm in São Paulo, Brazil, the unexpected happened. His plane suddenly lost power and plummeted 90 metres to the ground. This tragic accident left him with serious back injuries, compounding the challenges he was already facing from his previous crash. Fittipaldi faced a tough financial battle as creditors pursued 145 legal cases to recover about €8.6 million. His largest creditor, Safra Bank, accused the former F1 and Indy 500 champ of hiding assets while enjoying a lavish lifestyle in Florida, USA, and evading financial responsibilities in Brazil. According to reports, Fittipaldi, then 73, claimed he couldn't even cover €2,000 in court fees. His lawyer stated in a 2019 petition that Fittipaldi's situation had become dire, especially after Brazilian creditors seized assets in 2016, including his prized Indy 500 winning car and his 1976 Copersucar F1 car, along with trophies from his São Paulo museum. Life often brings unexpected twists, doesn't it? Who would have thought someone could go from being incredibly famous to facing such difficult times? Despite his racing success, he faced a daunting financial crisis, highlighting the challenges even celebrated athletes can encounter later in life. Fittipaldi, at 73, struggled to pay even €2,000 in court fees. That is how intense his financial struggles got. Many athletes, like Emerson, face similar challenges after retiring from their sports. When their income streams stop, they often encounter financial difficulties. These athletes, who were once successful, find themselves struggling to manage their finances. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Make sure to subscribe if you already haven't, And while you are at it, drop a comment telling us who to cover next.